Yo, what's going on my fellow monkeys? My name is Gunnup Monkey and today we're looking at an upcoming game called Hood, Outlaws and Legends. Now first of all, it's important to note that this is a multiplayer only game. There will be no story mode involved whatsoever. It will be available on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and Series S. Now this game's going to be rather unique in comparison to most of the other multiplayer games that are available at the moment, but this is going to be a 4v4 PvPvE game. It will have multiple modes, however at the very start the base mode is going to be Heists. Now this mode is going to consist of 3 stages. In the very first stage you will need to infiltrate the enemy stronghold and find and retrieve a vault key that is held by the sheriff. You will come across multiple AI opponents including things like knights and crossbowmen, but the sheriff is the most deadly and lethal of them all. He can be knocked down to his knees, however he cannot be killed. He is unkillable and will remain a consistent threat throughout the entirety of the game. So with that being said, the most effective way to get the vault key from the sheriff is to find a stealthy approach, whether you do that solo or with your team. Once you retrieve the vault key, the location of the vault will be revealed to your team and your team only. That will leave the enemy team in a position where they will either need to continue to look for the vault key and obtain it, or they can try and ambush you at the vault, or the third option being waiting until you have come out and trying to stop you from making your escape. So once you've made it into the vault, grab the chest and are ready to make your escape, you're then in a situation where you have multiple options of exit routes. However, depending on your situation, whether you have been spotted by the guards or not, can then limit the amount of options you have due to them going into lockdown, as well as whether or not you have the brawler in your team, as he can open up what is called a Colossus Gate, which allows you to have a whole new exit and escape. Once you've made your way out of the stronghold, you will then enter stage 3, which is where you need to find the winch and then proceed to get your chest out of the area. While you're on the winch, you're fully exposed, so your teammates will need to make sure to cover you. You can have 2 people on the winch at the same time to make for a faster process, however it is a more risky approach. Once you begin this process, you'll come to realise that there's actually 6 checkpoints, making it a lot easier to be able to jump on and off of it rather than having to make it a long way through, then get interrupted and have to start all over again. If the opposition manage to wipe you out while you are respawning, they can then jump onto the winch themselves and try and get it to the finish. So whichever team has the most checkpoints achieved will be the winning team. Once the game is over and you're ready to receive your rewards, you'll actually be taken to the Scales of Justice. This is where you'll decide whether or not you want to give the coins to the poor or whether you'd like to keep it for yourself. If you give it to the poor, it goes to your hideout, which allows you to gain access to new items, new perks, new gear, things like that. However, if you keep the currency for yourself, that is how you will be able to afford these things. It's noteworthy that there will be a few you can get straight away, so it really just comes down to you whether or not you want to unlock better things straight away, or whether you just want to buy those particular ones you already have sitting there ready. But that doesn't mean you have to choose one or the other, as you can actually choose whether, for instance, you want to have 3/4 of it go towards the hideout and 1/4 of it go to yourself, or vice versa. Now of course the classes, the Outlaws. What characters can you have and what do they do? The first one is the Ranger, which is basically an archer. He is a sniper class. His weapon is the longbow, which you can charge his shots for strong hits, or you can do it as quick shots for close range burst fire. His trait is called Scout, where you can tag enemies for a limited amount of time. His gear ability is a flash, which is basically like a flashbang, and his ultimate Farsight gives him an incendiary arrow. Our next outlaw is the Hunter, which is an assassin class. Her weapon is going to be the bladed crossbow, which can be used as a multi-shot as well as a single shot. Her trait is Shadow, which allows her to assassinate enemies from any direction. Her gear ability is Smoke, basically like a smoke grenade, and her ultimate Shroud, which is where she gains invisibility for a certain amount of time. The next outlaw is the Brawler, which is a Master of Melee class, His weapon is a sledgehammer, where it can be used as a wide sweep for crowd control, but he also has an overhead swing which he can use just for absolute destruction. His trait is Resolute, which is his ability to raise the collis gates. His gear ability is a grenade, and his ultimate, called Wrath, enhances his offense and defense, as well as increases his durability and gives him unlimited stamina. The last outlaw, but certainly not the least, is the Mystic, which is a support class. His weapon is the flail, which can be swung around as, again, crowd control, or he can launch forward to stun the enemies. His trait is Aspire, which increases his stamina regen. His gear ability is Poison, which can obscure vision and sap stamina from the enemies. However, it can also have a perk which allows it to then be completely changed and used as a healing power for his teammates. And his ultimate is called Instinct, which is where he can highlight obscured enemies and heal himself and all nearby allies. There are multiple perks that you can have for each and every single outlaw, as well as there are up to 3 perks you can have on at one time. Now, as this is a 4v4 and at launch there is only going to be 4 classes, it's important to note as well that there's no limit to how many times a certain class can be in a team. You can have 4 ranges, or 2 ranges, or 3 mystics. You can have whatever combination you would like to have. Personally, I think this is a really good idea because it doesn't lock anyone into using a certain character at the start. You're not locked in, say for instance, if there was Mystic, Brawler and a Hunter already chosen, then the last person would have to be Ranger, even if they weren't any good with the bow. Now, I'll also see the other side where this can be also looked at as OP. However, it's important to note that this isn't really the case, as each class has its own strength and has its own place where it can be very useful. For instance, if you have 2 Brawlers and 2 Mystics, you're not going to have any character with range, which is going to make it a little bit harder. If you choose 2 Rangers and 2 Hunters, then you're not going to have a big Brawler that is then able to open up that extra exit, as well as he is also capable of carrying the chest quicker, so that's also going to be a bit of a downfall. On top of that, you're not going to have Mystics, so the heals won't be there for you. With all this in mind, I can still see that some people might think that this could be repetitive. It's important to know that there are also 3 buildings that can hold the vault, and in each one of those buildings there's actually 5 locations that the vault could still be at, which allows for multiple possibilities, multiple options. On top of all this, the AI itself has different routes that they take, different approaches. The sheriff has different ways that he goes as well, so no game is ever really going to be the same. However, if that doesn't convince you enough, there is also going to be post-launch support, where we will still be getting new characters, new maps, new modes. With all this in mind, there's always going to be changes, there's always going to be new things, and it will never be too repetitive. As for progression, there's 3 types of leveling up. You have your overall level, as well as your hideout level, and then on top of that you also have class level for each and every individual outlaw. As mentioned before, there will be new classes, new maps, and new modes released in future. It's also important to note that all of this will be free, and there will be no microtransactions. However, because of that, there's no word on whether there will be more in-game currency items added after launch, or if they'll only be in the battle pass. Yes, that's right, there is indeed going to be battle passes in this game. Unfortunately, we don't have too much information yet on what these will contain, but as you can naturally assume, there will be weapon skins, character skins, and maybe a few other bits and bobs that will be nice for each person to have. Please keep in mind that this is a digital only game, so you will not be able to purchase it in store at all, and at the moment there is 2 different pre-order options. You can get the base game by itself, or you can get the year 1 pass. With the year 1 pass, you will get a pack called the Forest Lords pack, which contains weapon skins and character skins for all outlaws, as well as you will also receive season battle passes 1 to 3. Not to mention you also get a 3-day early access. Now this game does come out on May 10th, so with that in mind, you don't have too long to decide on which way you want to go. Obviously, if you go with the year 1 pass, you will even have less time, as you will be able to access the game straight away on May the 7th. Now what can we expect once this game finally kicks off? Well, very shortly after launch there will be a Season 0 coming into action called Letha, which this will introduce a new map called Mountain. It'll also be bringing in a community event and a new game mode. Also, it's not yet confirmed on whether this will be included in Season 0 or one of the future seasons, but there is indeed a new outlaw already coming in. So keep your eyes peeled, because once we get more information on who the character is and what they can do, I will upload another video all about it. I'll be honest, I didn't know about this game until real late, but now that I do, I'm so excited for it. I can't wait for it to be out. Can't wait to take out some people with the bow, or maybe even use the mystic, because let's be honest, I love my support classes. There's plenty more information and content about this game, as well as more in-depth look at the characters. So if you want to see a video on that, please make sure to give this video a like so I know you enjoy it and you want to see more. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.